I'm really, really happy that you popped into this particular video because this is something new that I'm going to try and hopefully it goes well to help out the musicians. This was recommended in the comments to another video, which I'll tell you about in a moment, and I'll explain a little bit more about you in depth. But just know that this channel is to help gain more exposure and notoriety for the musicians of the world. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere as Tazzz Reacts. All right, so let me explain. I recently did a reaction to SB19, which they're phenomenal and amazing, and I just adore everything about them on and away from the microphone. But someone said in the comments that if I wanted to know more about them, that I should check out this docuseries. So let me first give a shout out because I always like to give credit where credit is due. This shout out goes to at GB0417, which also is appearing somewhere on this screen. So thank you so much for that. So you had said it's by Casual Chuck. So Casual Chuck is someone else on YouTube who has their own channel. And it seems that they created this docuseries to give more insight and get more to know more on a personal level the the upbringings and where SB19 derived from in a sense. I haven't seen it yet because I never pre-watch anything, so this is new to me, and I've never did like a reaction docu series before. It's 6 episodes, so that's why I said I would see how it goes. So this is episode 1 of the docuseries. So yeah, this is different. Since this is a longer like docuseries, it's not a music video. So I'm going to actually pause it periodically throughout the docuseries. So please do not try to skip forward to the end, because I'm going to be talking all throughout. So let me pretty much get into it because it's like 19 minutes long. Um, but the purpose is to gain more exposure and notoriety for SB19, as well as get to know them more on a personal level. Like, I don't know too much about them. I want to know more. And many of you may learn something from here if you didn't see it. So who knows? And talk about it in the comments, okay? I really want to hear your thoughts because you matter. Channel is not all about me. It's about you as well. All right. So let me shut the hell up. Let me get into this and stay tuned as Tazzz reacts.
When you hear the words pop music and the best boy band, who comes to mind? What if I told you that the most overlooked boy group in our generation might be these guys? In the last 6 years, these guys turned a small Korean entertainment company into a company that produced the greatest P-pop group ever.
Are you proud of SB19?
And you don't accomplish that without making a few enemies.
K-pop.
Lima pala sila.
K-pop pangit.
Some of them coming from unexpected places.
Yun yung iba daw.
Parang may ginaya rin eh.
But behind the group are 5 driven men who were about to
So stopping it there real quick. So I sensed and saw like some haters there at the beginning. So I'm glad that they shown that because, if let's say you're new and upcoming, whether it's in music or let's say it's in anything that you're about to do, there's bound to be some haters somewhere. Haters are going to hate. Most of the time I found out haters are hating because they're just jealous. They're lazy and they don't want to at least try to do something like you're trying to do something. So rather than them encourage you, they'll just hate on you. Some people just love to hate, especially with social media. It's easy to hate virtually. You can type in anything on the keyboard to try to annoy somebody and make them angry or make them sad. So let's not give the haters the power. SB19 didn't. They could have just stopped their career and said, "Oh, it's enough." But they keep going and going and going. And that's what you have to do. I'm not saying it's easy all the time, but if you don't give them power, the haters, then they have no power. Even my tiny little channel gets haters. Luckily, it's a small percentage, but I literally and honestly laugh when I see them in the comments. Sometimes I'm in the mood to ignore them, or sometimes I'll address them, and then I always get the last laugh because it's easy, again, like I said, to hate on somebody, especially virtually. So let's get back to this. I like so far how casual Chuck has uh capsulated all this so far. So let's keep it moving.
Transform what was once a laughingstock genre in music into the fastest growing genre of the world.
Ever since we had this goal, and not just for us, but for the entire industry.
Feeling ko hindi pa natin nakukuha yung recognition na dapat para sa atin.
Between disbanding before they even debuted,
All hope is lost parang nung time na yun.
becoming industry outcasts and getting bashed by their own countrymen,
Sana magkaroon tayo ng grupo na hindi naman mga kataasan ng tangos ng ilong. Para talagang original.
Oo.
the rise of SB19 may not be the greatest Filipino success story ever.
Maganda kasi yung revenge kasi talaga yung success na ipapakita mo sa mga tao hindi naniniwala.
Tama yan.
But it certainly is the most inspiring one.
Pausing it again, I just want to give a quick shout out again to Casual Chuck. So I never heard of you before in my life until one of my viewer subscribers had mentioned you, but thank you for doing what you did. Like, you didn't have to make this compilation. I don't know your status in the music industry, or maybe you don't have one, but you just love music like I do. But how you just had that thing flash up, that pop-up call to action, that maybe it's the most inspiring one. We all need to be inspired in things that we do, and it doesn't even have to be musically. We just have to be inspired. So SB19 inspires a lot of their fans. They're 18 fans, and I'm jumped on the 18 fan bandwagon. So yeah, so if we can all around the world inspire more than hate, wouldn't it be a wonderful world? But let's just stick to the inspirational parts of life, and let's try to ignore the haters and the naysayers, because like I said, they're going to happen wherever you are, but don't give them that power. So yeah, shout out to you, Casual Chuck, for doing this. So let's get back into it. I'm very intrigued to see more.
This is called Triple, a group of talented performers and comedians from Korea you've probably never heard of. They were formed back in 1994 when the word K-pop hasn't even been invented. In 2002, one of the members made the biggest mistake of his life, which will change the entire course of P-pop history. That member was Jong Song Han. It all started when he left the trio in 2002 to become an entrepreneur. Cult Triple became Cult 2. Most of their fans thought that Songhan's decision was a huge mistake because the remaining members started racking up different awards in the entertainment industry. If he only stuck around, he would have gotten those awards too. But this man's decision was final. He used all of his savings to build an event organizing company called ShowBT Entertainment. Today we know him as Tatang Robin. Fast forward to 2015. The fight of the century just happened. One Direction's Drag Me Down was all over the radio, and Big Bang was the biggest K-pop boy group, while P-pop has top one project. Chances are, you have never heard of them. But somewhere in Makati, Philippines, an audition was held. Tatang Robin was looking for young talents who would be part of the package of their service as an event organizers. Talents who can perform on their own but can also serve as backup dancers and singers to their main performers. One of the main attractions of the SATA audition was if you're good enough, you might just debut as a member of ShowBT's first ever P-pop group to undergo a Korean-style training. Filipinos don't get opportunities like that so often, so hundreds of talents applied, but only 30 made it as trainees. They were initially called the ShowBT Musical Gala Team. but then later dubbed as Nara, which in Korean means country and also happens to be the national tree of the Philippines. If you're a fan who is deep into the P-pop scene, you would recognize some of the future P-pop stars, but one of the most notable ones is this guy. On the first day of training, one guy stood out because he was just alone standing awkwardly in the corner.
Nung una, ang weird niya po, nagsasalita mag-isa.
He was facing the wall and making hand gestures as if he was rapping in front of it.
Nakatayo siya sa gilid. Doon lang gaganon. Sabi ko, anong ginagawa na? Nagre-ritual ba ito sa gilid?
That guy was John Paulo Nasser. He always wanted to be a performer. As a young dreamer, he joined several competitions as a soloist and also as a member of the K-pop dance cover group called PHP.
All right, I'm loving seeing the progression. Like, I don't know any of these people, but I'm love seeing the I refer to it sometimes as the ripple effect. Have you ever heard of that before? Like when you drop a pebble or you drop anything into a body of water, it has that ripple and it's continuous and it keeps connecting and connecting and connecting. So I like what I'm seeing build up so far. So you have this one guy who is from a group called Cult Trio. He decided to leave, even though they started doing good, and to form his own thing. And now he's looking for talent. So just imagine already, if he didn't leave that group, where would those other talents or chances to be talented go? Where would they have gone? Would they have found some other venue to audition for or whatever? Or would they have not had any opportunities? Because he had said in there that Filipinos didn't get that many opportunities musically or whatever. So I like the ripple effect, if you can see where I'm going with this, of how that happens. Many things in my own life I refer to as the ripple effect. Like, if you get in your car and drive up to a red light, you can turn left or turn right. What happens if you turn left? What happens there? That ripple. Or what happens if you turn right? Like, everything in your life is continuous. So if you never thought that before, start thinking. So yeah, let's get back into this. I want to see where this is going.
In training, he was the guy who shows up early and leaves late despite juggling a full-time job as a data analyst to help provide for his family. He was selected due to his undeniable diligence and leadership qualities. He is known to have critically acclaimed songwriting ability. Some of my sources even said that he had already written dozens of songs at this time. He's also a badass rapper and was often called a genius but consistently denied it because he claimed to be just a hard worker. This made him the destined leader of the group. He was known as Sejin at the time but later would be known as Pablo.
There you go. I wasn't quite sure because of the face. Like, I haven't memorized their names yet, but Pablo's face looked a little familiar to me because I know he's like the one that I think creates a lot of the lyrics and stuff for SB19. I think he founded them, but now this is pretty much showing that since they're showing him first, he's the one who is the catalyst. But yeah, imagine if that guy didn't leave Cult Trio, form his own thing, have a contest, and then you see this guy as they described, as Casual Chuck described, just a lonely solo guy leaning up against the wall, minding his own thing, to later be Pablo from SB19. So yeah, I'm loving this ripple effect so far. Let me know down in the comments if you knew this already, or did you learn this here from Casual Chuck, or did you already know this, or is this your first time knowing this? So this is amazing. I'm loving this so far. Let's get back to it.
30 trainees are a lot of trainees. It would take a very observant person with an eye for talent to notice Pablo in that corner. So who was that observant person with an eye for talent? Well, he was also a trainee. Stelvester Ahero. He was only a kid when he started competing as a performer. As a dancer, he racked up win after win on a national level with his school crew and became their official choreographer, teaching crewmates 2 to 3 years older than him. He later joined a dance crew called Seon and went on to win international titles. Stel obviously worked so hard. Amidst his studies and competitions, he also worked part-time as a McDonald's service crew and teaching dance to kids with special needs. There was a point that he worked too hard that he wound up in the hospital. His poor health caused him to lose his earnings and nearly his life. Fortunately, he was able to recover. This made him the obvious choice to become the choreographer of the group. But little did they know that dancing wasn't his only talent.
It was amazing to know. So that's how Stell. I like that. Stell Vester. That's a cool long name. But it's scary too, like how he had mentioned, like he worked so much or known to work so much that he became ill and so close to losing his life. Like that's something I also didn't know. Um, but that would be another ripple effect. Like imagine if something happened to him and he didn't survive, you know? Oh, thank you. Somebody donated something. Subscribe. Thank you. But imagine that. And since he's like the choreographer and stuff like that, like where would SB19 have been without like a main choreographer or also, you know, what he does and lyrically. So yeah, another ripple effect and another thing to learn about them. So I'm loving this so far. I'm loving this so far. Let's get back to it. Tell me how you feel.
As a kid, he joined the school choir to become the only male soprano and only improved as he gotten older. He easily became the main heavenly voice of the group because his vocals were just out of this world. Unlike Pablo, Stell was very friendly to everyone. In fact, one of his closest friends also auditioned and made it as a trainee. This friend is nothing to be trifled with because having the worst upbringing among the others made him the strongest when it comes down to pure guts and determination. Josh Cullen Santos. He left home at the age of 16 and it was his decision. From growing up in a toxic environment to being physically abused as a kid by their nanny. I'm talking about getting poured candle wax all over their body. At an early age, he experienced what it felt like to be a member of a middle-class family that
Had to stop there. I hope that the person that did that to him was punished. That is just disgusting. It's especially to a child. But and you know the nanny and stuff like that. Like you know people inherently trust the nannies or someone watching their kids and like to know something like that. That's just horrible to learn like that. And you know we got lucky and then also he got lucky because you know people who are abused sometimes don't go far. Like they might give up or they might, you know, it all depends on how somebody can handle something. And it's a shame that they are put in a situation like that. Especially at a young age, but I'm glad that he pushed through and he got that toughness and that helps him now in his life. But he might still have demons, and I would not be surprised if he did still have demons. Like that's just a little part of what's happened in his life. There could be other things negative that has happened in his life. But some people, it pushes you to be stronger in life. But I feel bad for also the people that it was overwhelming and they couldn't figure out a way to get to the other side and something tragic happened. You know what I mean? I don't, so wow. All right. Learning a lot so far. Yeah. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Let's get back into it.
went rock bottom in just a matter of months. They got evicted from medium-sized apartments to increasingly smaller rooms. It came to a point when his family had nothing to eat with rice but ketchup and salt. They had no permanent address. Because of that, Josh and his sister dropped out of school multiple times, so they got bullied at school for being repeaters. Sometimes he would even get into fistfights for defending her. Josh had enough of this, so he decided to leave to become independent and started working as an internet cafe attendant. Using his own income, he took the alternative learning system to attain his high school degree. He initially had no background in performing. Not until he found Stell performing with his dance group called Seyon. Josh became an instant fan, and when they connected, Stell became his mentor, which led to them becoming co-members, and they went on to win numerous K-pop dance cover competitions all over Asia. They even met BTS during one of their winning runs in Korea. So from champions to trainees, what else is in store for them? From then on, their lives became all about performing in small events and training.
We had one mentor when we were training. Tapos, more on personality development siya. Tapos, presenting ourselves on stage.
We had no idea that the Korean-style training they went through
It's far, far from what they've been doing sa Korea.
was nothing but a mere marketing strategy.
But yung skill-wise, parang ganun. We were left on our own.
They were left alone to fend for themselves, sharing knowledge to improve each other with the hope of making the cut. Some sources told me that Pablo had to record some of their vocal sessions to effectively coach his co-trainees. All of that without salary. This went on for roughly a couple of years, and I don't know about you guys, but this for me sounded kind of brutal. It's not easy to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again without any form of guidance. They were also kept in the dark about their debut date. So frustration started brewing until it reached the point when it only took one trigger to call it quits. On one seemingly normal training day, all trainees were already in the studio, except for Josh. On the same morning, the train broke down.
Nasira yung MRT during that time. Nasira yung MRT.
Sinuspindi ang operasyon ng MRT dahil sa power outage.
It wasn't really an accident, but this would still worry anyone, especially the trainees, because it's highly unusual for Josh to miss training. Later that morning, Josh arrived. His co-trainees felt relieved because Josh turned out to be safe. You would think that their company would react the same way, right? Wrong. They decided to terminate his training.
Na-late ako, tas tinanggal ako.
That was the trigger.
Noong tinanggal po ako, nag-quit din yung mga grupo ko. Nag-quit din sila kasi parang naging trigger na point na kung tatanggalin mo si Josh,
Umalis kami sa grupo.
ganun mo lang kadali itapon yung lahat ng efforts and passion tsaka dreams namin.
Show BT had two choices: to keep all trainees or to keep no trainees. The company chose the latter. Everyone left except for Stel.
Parang si Stella lang yung naiwan po nun talaga sa training room. Tapos talagang down na down lahat.
Si Stel natira kasi doon during that time.
Stel set aside all his frustration and remained focused on his goal, while Pablo was devastated.
All hope is lost parang nung time na yun.
In Josh's case, we can only imagine the pain he must have felt to have been booted out of his dreams. Days passed, everyone still feeling down about that incident. Then Pablo's phone receives a message.
Brother, bumalik ka na, brother.
It was Josh. Out of all the trainees, the guy that got sent packing was the same guy who actively convinced everyone to continue chasing their dreams. Perhaps this was the sheer guts and determination from his life.
That's very heartfelt, and it's very uplifting at the same time. It's uplifting because everybody feels like their dreams are crushed, they're done, living in like a state of blurriness where you're not sure what to do. And in here, Josh, see, sometimes it takes one phone call, one text, one form of communication that can be the fire, that the match that lights the fire again. So that's pretty cool. It's jacked up how though Josh was demonized because he was late, not on his own accord, like it was because of a train issue or whatever like that. Like, I mean, just imagine that in your current life. Like, sometimes you're legitimately running late because of something that's really beyond your control, and you're still reprimanded for that. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that if it's something that's not your fault. But that's something. For some other people, that could have crushed them and they could have stayed disbanded and never got together and nothing happened after that. But thank God you still see that there's something that brings them back together. So that's just beautiful in itself. Like, wow, this is just the first episode and I'm already saddened and stuff of what they all had to go through and all this stuff and everything. So I have 5 more episodes to go. So Let's get back into it, okay?
Experiences in full display. Pablo hurried back to the studio to find Stell alone. But not for long. Josh came back next and took the initiative to convince the company to have them back.
Pumunta lang po ako doon at syempre kung kinakailangan na makiusap.
So back to training, they went.
Hindi na lang magkahiwala yung grupo pero bumalik sila kasi hindi nila ako inuwan.
There was only 3 of them for a while. Then a few other trainees started coming back. So Show BT put together a talent workshop to get more talents to keep the business going. This was batch 1. This was batch 2.
Target locked.
Justin De Dios. He got scouted right away because he was a very good-looking guy and already was a decent singer and dancer. When he joined, he immediately saw a familiar face in Josh.
You look familiar, as do you.
Apparently, Josh told Justin about the workshop because the two already had a stint performing together in a dance cover group called Zero to Hero. So Justin as well wasn't new in the world of performing. He auditioned to be a part of the televised Pinoy boy band Superstar, but he didn't even make it to the live auditions. Perhaps it was fate. That group is nowhere to be found today. Justin obviously deserved better. He went on to finish his college degree in multimedia arts while training, which earned him a filmmaking skill that would prove very crucial to their success in the future. With Justin on board, this completed their prototype boy group. It's composed of Justin, Pablo, Stell, Josh, Zeno, Kurt, and JP. They did multiple test runs leading up to their entry to Pinoy K-Pop Star 2017. They performed B-Day by Icon in an epic fashion, but they didn't win. At this point, Show BT seemed to have hit a roadblock. The group felt like something was missing. I don't exactly know what happened to Zeno, Kurt, and JP. They either quit or Show BT felt the need to let go of them and get someone who could take this already great group of guys and push them to achieve the next level. The extraordinary level. This year's in the making project of Show BT needed to reach its peak. So they started the online auditions. When Josh heard about it, he was like, I know a guy. The guy he was talking about was a pain in his butt because their groups have clashed multiple times in their early dance competitions and their battles were always neck and neck. That guy's name was Philip John Suson. He was such a specimen. He was so naturally gifted that excelling in sports looked like a walk in the park for him. He grew up in the church under the care of his grandparents. He was an artistic kid, so he was active as an editorial cartoonist in school. Nobody taught him how to play musical instruments. He taught himself by just listening to the music, so he ended up becoming a southpaw guitarist, but he later then fixed it as he learned more. He was also a gifted singer as a kid. Every time there was a family gathering, he was always forced to sing karaoke by his relatives.
Wow. And there you have the pieces of the puzzle. It's really cool seeing like their initial separate paths, their initial separate paths and then how they all come together like a jigsaw puzzle. So somebody knows a guy who knows a guy. So how about that? I like this because I didn't know any of this. Like I would fail a test if you gave me an SB19 test, but I'm learning more as I go. Excuse me, and most of what I've learned is through you, my viewers, in the comments. I much rather learn in the comments, and then I'm learning from this actually, which I like, rather than me do my own Google research and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is really, really good. So let's get back into it. It's almost over, but for the first episode, it's really starting off well. So yeah, tell me your thoughts in the comments. And tell me if you can relate. Which one of these guys, like, can you relate to? Like, do they have like a history or past or upbringing that kind of mimics how your upbringing was. I would like to know, like, are you a Pablo or are you a Stell? Tell me down in the comments, okay? All right, let's get back into it.
But when he hit puberty, he lost confidence in his voice because he could no longer hit high notes. But his confidence came back after being mentored by Pablo, who taught him how to harness his unique low voice that seemingly sounds like it came from the underworld. When it comes to dance, he didn't know he could do it until he was forced to in order to get good grades during their school intramurals. After discovering dance, he transformed from a guy who didn't know it to someone who can fly. Because of his raw talent, he ended up teaching dance to the entire school and continued on to join the dance group called Amigo 7, a would-be rival of Josh and Stell's crew, Seyon. It quickly became a reverse if you can't beat them, then join them kind of deal. So Josh recruited Ken. But there was a problem. He was hundreds of islands away and didn't have the money. What did Josh do? He shelled out for his plane ticket. With nothing else to lose, Felipe went and left his previous life in the countryside. He then trained with the boys and officially debuted with them as Ken, the main dancer, the bass vocalist, and the lead rapper of the group. One thing to note is that they were an unlikely bunch because they wouldn't have met each other if Tatang Robin stayed with his already successful group in Korea. Justin didn't make it in his first audition, so he almost didn't try again until Josh told him to do so. And Ken wouldn't even have the opportunity to join if the ShowBT trainees didn't come back after that quitting incident. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the butterfly effect. When a small and seemingly insignificant occurrence has a rippling effect through time, leading to a consequential event sometime long after the initial.
What did I tell you? Without even knowing he was going to say that. Rippling effect. Also butterfly effect. So yeah, everything's all pieced together. What if this didn't happen? What if that didn't happen? Since that happened, this happened. I called who? I paid for this ticket. It's just amazing how all this happens. I like learning stuff like that because they could have all said no, or one couldn't have had money to pay for the plane ticket, or one could have said no when they called and said, "Hey, let's get back together." They could have been like, "Nah, I'm fine." Um, or when what did they say when Josh had failed or whatever the test or the dance thing or whatever, and he was convinced to come back. He came back, or somebody came back because Josh asked him to. He could have very well said, "No, I don't want to possibly get turned down a second time." So it's all ripple effects. It's all what would have happened if that would have happened. Like I like this. So all right, it's almost over. Let's see what's left. Wow, this is amazing.
Event, or as Google would put it, the phenomenon whereby a minute localized change in a complex system can have large effects elsewhere. Tatang Robin's so-called mistake back in 2002 led to forming the future P-pop Kings. In 2018, SB19 was formed. The name of the group was carefully picked. The number 19 is the sum of Korea and the Philippines country code digits, 82 and 63. So 8 plus 2 plus 6 plus 3 is 19. If you subtract both numbers, you also get the same result. SB doesn't only mean ShowBT. It is also about their ultimate goal for Pinoy sound to break into the music industry, which is fearlessly represented by this phrase: Soundbreak.
How about that? Wow. I like the way he ended. I like the way he ended that. He segued into how they became the SB19, how they got the name rather, um, and how he said that they inspired him. That's a beautiful thing. Like, to know that you can inspire someone is a beautiful thing. So SB19, thank you for inspiring us. and I know you inspire yourselves. Just know in the other direction, we are inspired by you. Is that the same thing? We are inspired by you because, again, there's so many times that y'all could have said no or could have given up. I didn't know that you were all in different bands, like, and then finally you all from different parts of life got together and made your own band group, and then now you're together. So that's really, really interesting. And then now fast forward, they're still together, still making music, still inspiring others, still learning themselves, and being humble and hungry, as I had said before. And a lot of you in the comments had so kindly validated that, like, yes, they are humble. And that's beautiful because there are other people in the music industry who, when they get some sort of fame, they become different persons, or they become arrogant or cocky, or whatever. But to remain humble while you're doing all this makes me particularly love somebody even more, because that's something that I would do if I ever became into fame. I would still be humble. Because, I'm not better than anybody else, but, I might have something a gift to give. They give the gift of music appreciation. Their songs are so educational, so therapeutic. They can make us feel good. Music has the superpower. Music is a superpower. If music took a human form, it would be some type of superhero. Um, so yeah, I love music. You love music. We all love music. And that's why this channel is where it is, Tazzz Reacts, so we can represent music appreciation. So yeah, episode 1 of this reaction docuseries. I hope you enjoy. If you do enjoy, which I'll find out once I upload it and stuff, then I'll do episode 2, for the goal again for SB19. But I want you all to enjoy it too, because this is all one love. All right. So for these docuseries, I don't do like my traditional thumbs up, thumbs down, because I already love it. And this is learning more about the musician away from the proverbial microphone, to know a little bit about their lives. So this is special. It's automatically a pass. You know what I mean? So, yeah. If you want to see some of the actual music videos of SB19s that I did react to, though, then I want you to check out there. You take care of yourselves and always fight to survive.